Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. My name is Liaquat Zaman. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. This series is called the Diwan of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Now you may be familiar with poems of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu. So this is why I've made a series dedicated to this famous individual in the history of Muslims. So the poem that I have selected for today, actually, before I actually go into the poems, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe button and tell me in the comments how much you benefit from these videos that I make. And right, let's go back to the poem then. So the poem is about the importance of knowing when not to speak, right? Knowing when to zip your mouth. He says, أدبت نفسي فما وجدت لها بغير تقوى الإله من أدبي في كل حالاتها وإن قصرت أفضل من صمتها على الكرب وغيبة الناس إن غيبتهم حرمها ذو الجلال في الكتب إن كان من فضة كلامك إن كان من فضة كلامك يا نفس فإن السكوت من ذهب. He says أدبت نفسي فما وجدت له. أدب يؤدب تأديب, which means to teach someone manners, right? You say discipline. So أدب يؤدب from the word adab, which is a word that's come several times before in previous poems. He says أدبت نفسي, I have taught manners to my nafs. I have disciplined my nafs. I have really got my nafs and I have taught it. Adab, I've educated it. Adabtu nafsi. Nafs is a person's, could be their body, could be their mind, it could be their selves. I've taught myself adab, manners, disciplined myself. فَمَا وَجَدْتُ لَهَا. Ma, negating. وَجَدَ يَجِدُ, to find. مَا وَجَدْتُ. I have not found laha, for it. It goes back to the nafs, because the word nafs in the Arabic language is a feminine word. فَمَا وَجَدْتُ لَهَا بِغَيْرِ تَقْوَى الْإِلَهِ مِنْ أَدَبِ. بِغَيْرِ, without, not in. تَقْوَى الْإِلَهِ, taqwa means God consciousness, having this idea that you are being watched by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then your actions are in line with the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're basically fulfilling Allah's commands and you're staying away from the prohibitions that He has mentioned. So taqwa al-ilah, you call this taqwa al-ilah, and the ilah is the one who is worshipped. That's why when you say la ilaha illallah, what we are really saying is there is no ilah, no one worthy of worship truly except Allah. Taqwa al-ilahi min adabi, from adab, of adab. Adab, we've mentioned this word before. It means the mannerisms, the way that a person holds themselves, practices, acts upon, what they've learned in becoming a better person, whether that be in the public sphere, at home, anywhere. You call this adab. And every scenario, every situation has its own adab that a person needs to adhere to. So he says, I've taught myself, I have disciplined myself, and out of all of the lessons that I have learnt, so if you put all of the lessons of adab, of how I have disciplined myself, because sometimes you might have to discipline yourself at home in a different way, in public in a different way, with certain friends in a different way, so that you maintain that dignity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed mankind with. He says, I've listed all of the different ways that I have found beneficial and the ones that I found less beneficial, and I haven't found anything besides the taqwa of Allah with regards to adab. في كل حالاتها, in every condition. Halatun, it means the condition, and the halat is the plural of this. So in all the states and all the cases and all the conditions, في كل حالاتها, in all of the states of nafs. Because your nafs, for example, you're watching this video, your nafs might be behaving in a certain way. But maybe if you're in a different situation, your nafs will behave in a slightly different way. This is why it's difficult for a person to try and discipline themselves, all throughout the day, right? There might be certain times when you're asleep, obviously disciplining yourself is going to be very easy, but there's other times when disciplining yourself is going to be a bit difficult. So he says, في كل حالاتها, in all of the cases, all of the situations of my nafs, وَإِن قَصُرَتْ, even if it's a short hala, قصر يقصر. قصير is the opposite of طويل. طويل means long, قصير means short. So في كل حالاتها, he says, all the cases, وإن قصرت, وإن here means even if. Even if it is a short duration of time, I have found that, وجدت لها بغير تقوى الإله من أدبي أفضل. أفضل means the most beneficial, the most superior, the best. من صمتها. So صمت, سكوت, silence. Right? So صمت, من صمت نجا. Right? من صمت نجا. Whoever is silent will be successful. على الكرب. كرب, it means difficulty, hardship, problems in life. You call it a كرب. كربة من كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. Just like in the hadith it's mentioned. من نفس عن مسلم كربة. Whoever relieves a problem that a Muslim is going through, a kurba, Allah will relieve the kurab of the Day of Judgment from that person. May Allah make us of those. Now, in some versions of this poem, I've actually found it to be min samtiha an al-kidhbi, kadhibi, an from lying. Right? So whether it's about lying or whether it's about going through difficulties. So I'm going to translate the one to do with the difficulties. He says, look, أدبت نفسي فما وجدت لها أفضل. So أفضل is the thing that he has found. So he's saying, besides the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning if a person was to maintain the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every aspect of their life, this is the best way to discipline yourself, basically. But besides the taqwa of Allah, let's put that to one side. What else in life has been a key disciplining tool that I found to help myself? He says, samt, silence. أفضل من صمتها على الكرب. In the hardships and the difficulties I'm going through, he says, the best thing that I have found is just to be silent. When you are silent, then subhanallah, you save yourself from so many problems. في كل حالاتها وإن قصرت أفضل, more superior من صمتها, than the silence of the nafs. Because the nafs wants to say all of these things. But the problem is, the nafs usually says things unfiltered. Right? You say all sorts of things and then later on you think about it and you think, oh, I wish I hadn't said that. I regret saying all of these things. That's why it's very important for us to make decisions after we've thought about them. If you're in a state of emotion, then relax. Take time, take a breather, go for a walk, then speak. Otherwise, speaking without thinking, like one of Jahid used to say, he says, a foolish man is one whose tongue is in front of his aql. His aql is behind his tongue, meaning he speaks, then he thinks about what he said. And the intelligent man is the one whose tongue is behind his aql, behind his intellect, his mind. Because he thinks, filters it, and then he just says what he needs to say. Right? So this is why it's very important for us to balance it. And I think beautifully how Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu has summed this up in such a nice way, displaying over here the importance of taqwa of Allah. But besides the taqwa of Allah, there are also other things which don't necessarily fall under the taqwa of Allah, but are key to when it comes to making yourself a better person. So he says, أَدَّبْتُ نَفْسِي, he says, I disciplined myself, مَا وَجَدْتُ لَهَا, I did not find for it, besides بِغَيْرِ تَقْوَى الْإِلَهِ مِنْ أَدَبِي, I couldn't find anything besides the taqwa of Allah of adab, في كل حالاتها, in every case of it, in the morning, in the evening, in when you're angry and happy, وَإِنْ قَصُرَتْ, even if that period of time is short, أفضل, more superior than صمتها, it's silence. Silence is the best thing, على الكرب. وغيبة الناس. Now some versions say غيبة الناس and some versions actually say غيبة الناس, which could mean رب غيبة الناس. If the Arabs start a poem off with a kasra, majroor, then this usually has hidden over there رب غيبة الناس. Right? So غيبة الناس or غيبة الناس meaning the backbiting of people. Right? So we're going to use the dhamma one. We're going to say غيبة الناس وغيبة الناس. So غيبة الناس. So غيبة is from the word or غيبة الناس, we're going to say rather غيبة. غاب يغيب, it means to be hidden, right? To be away from you. So غيبة means one hiding, like one session of hiding. And غيبة means a way of being away from someone, a style of being away from someone. So ghibatun nasi, and backbiting, being away from them and talking about them in a negative fashion. Wa ghibatun nasi, inna ghibatahum, indeed their backbiting, meaning indeed backbiting these people. Allah has prohibited this. حرمها ذو الجلال في الكتب. حرم يحرم, to make haram. حرمها, has made haram. ذو الجلال, ذو means the possessor, al-jalal means magnificence. Allah is the possessor of magnificence. ذو الجلال والإكرام. Allah is the one who possesses magnificence. No being has this power except Allah. Fil kutubi, in the books, meaning in the divine books, Allah has prohibited backbiting. So wa ghibatun nasi, and ghibat of the people, backbiting of the people. Inna ghibatahum, indeed backbiting them. Harramaha, Allah, Dhul Jalal, the Dhul Jalal, the possessor of Jalal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, of majesty, has made it haram. Where? Fil kutubi, in the books. So he says, in kana min fiddatin kalamuka, if your statement, if you had to measure your words, in kana min fiddatin kalamuka, ya nafsu, ya nafs, oh nafs, if your words were made out of gold, or silver rather, fidda. In kana min fiddatin kalam, in kana kalamuka min fiddatin, if your statements and words are made out of silver, oh nafs, fa inna sukuta, then indeed silence, min dhahabi, is gold, is made from gold. Subhanallah, look at that. Look how he beautifully kind of makes you realize that silence is always going to be superior to speech. In kana min fiddatin kalamuka, if your speech is, say, made from silver, ya nafs, oh nafs, he's speaking to his own nafs here. فَإِنَّ السُّكُوتَ مِنْ ذَهَبٍ, then indeed silence is considered to be made from gold, meaning gold is superior to silver, so that's why the gold is better over here. So this is a beautiful sort of like ending that he has to his poem. Some of the versions have some extra words in there, but I'm just going to stick to this. Just to kind of summarize some of the nice points over here. He says, Adabtu nafsi, I like this point when he says, Adabtu nafsi, I taught my nafs adab. Adabtu nafsi. So this is a sentence that you can adopt in your Arabic as well. ما وجدت لها أفضل من صمتها. ما وجدت لنفسي أفضل من السكوت. Okay, so you can kind of play around with this. ما وجدت أفضل من التفاح. I couldn't find anything better than an apple. And also غيبة الناس وغيبة الناس. Now, it's possible we can say وغيبة الناس. يعني احذروا غيبة الناس. Stay away from backbiting people. Yeah, possibly, I mean, I'm just thinking about this loud. That could be a possible idea. You let me know in the comments. غيبة الناس with the exclamation mark. Stay away from backbiting people. إن غيبتهم حرمها. Maybe that's a better translation. But you can have the marfu غيبة الناس. You can say غيبة الناس and غيبة الناس. إن حرمها ذو الجلال. I think this is a nice title used for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. ذو الجلال. حرمها ذو الجلال. It's like he's kind of like saying ذو الجلال, the one of magnificence, has made a ghiba haram, so how dare you backbite other people. And this final statement is just beautiful. It's just gold, right? And in fact, there's a statement in English, isn't it, that silence is gold. So in kana min fiddatin kalam, if your statement is considered to be made from silver, ya nafs, fa inna sukuta, then silence is actually made from gold. Silence is always going to be. Now, obviously, this does not mean that we should always remain silent. Doesn't matter what's happening. No. If something bad is happening in the community and we have to speak up, then we have to speak. Then speech is going to be gold, right? And if a person, let's say, for instance, is going to be praying their salat, they have to speak, they have to recite. So therefore, the recitation is going to be gold. And if a person has to educate someone else, then speaking is obviously going to be gold. But this statement of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu is just generally for the general masses when they're conversing with one another, chatting with one another, whether it's on social media or in the real world. Be very careful of what you say. You know, if you counted your words, if you were careful about every word and you measured it carefully before you were to impart with those words, then I think people would be better off. You tell me, what do you think? Do you think that life would have been better if you hadn't said certain things? Yeah, put in the comments below. طيب. يقول علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنه: أدبت نفسي، يعني علمت نفسي الأدب، فما وجدت لها، يعني لم أجد، يعني لم أعثر لنفسي من جملة التعليمات وأساليب طرق تأديب، يعني من جملتها لم أجد بغير تقوى الإله من أدب، يعني لم أجد بغير تقوى الإله من طرق لتأديبه. يعني تقوى الإله هو الأفضل طبعا، لأن تقوى الإله هو الامتثال بأوامر الله سبحانه وتعالى والاجتناب النواهي. فإذا كان الرجل أو المرأة يعيش في هذه الكوكب ويعني يتمثل أو يمتثل بأوامر الله، يصلي ويزكي ويفعل كذا وكذا وكذا ويجتنب المحارم، فطبعا هذا أفضل الشيء الذي يعني يتحلى به المرء. نعم. لكن غير هذا، هل هناك طرق، هل هناك يعني مفتاح أو شيء يعني أفعله حتى أكون يعني من أفضل الناس أدبا؟ نعم، يكون في كل حالاتها، يعني في جميع حالات الأدب، في جميع حالات النفس، وإن قصرت، وإن كانت هذه الحالة قصيرة جدا. يعني هناك بعض الأحوال الإنسان يكون فيه يعني أحوال كثيرة طويلة جدا، نعم، وفي بعضها قصيرة جدا. مثلا يكون معك لقاء مع أحد الأصدقاء، يكون أفضل من صمتها على الكرب، يعني لم أجد، ما وجدت لها أفضل، يعني أحسن من السكوت، من سكوت النفس، لأن النفس من طبيعتها أنها تريد أن تلقي كل ما فيها. نعم، عندما يلتقي مع أحد يريد أن تقول النفس كل شيء، سواء كان فيه خير أو فيه ضرر، يعني لا يميز بين هذا ولا بين ذاك. صمته على الكرب، على الكرب يعني على الأحوال والشدة. وغيبة الناس أو غيبة الناس، احذروا غيبة الناس، إن غيبتهم، إن اغتيابهم، كما حرم الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن وشبهه بأكل لحم الإنسان ميتا. نعم، إذا كان الإنسان يكره أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا، فلا بد أن يكره غيبتهم. حرمها ذو الجلال في الكتب، يعني الله سبحانه وتعالى هو الذي جعل هذا الشيء حرام في الكتب، يعني ليس فقط في القرآن بل في جميع الكتب. إن كان من فضة كلامك يا نفس، يا نفس، يعني يخاطب نفسه ويقول: إن كان كلامك مصنوع من فضة، إن كنت تساوي كلامك مع الفضة، يعني شيء ثمين، فإن السكوت من ذهب، فإن السكوت أفضل من الكلام. لماذا؟ لأن السكوت مصنوع متخذ من ذهب، والذهب أفضل من فضة. فيقصد هنا الشاعر الإمام علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنه، يقصد بهذا بأن في معظم أحوال التي أنت تعانيها السكوت ينفعك أكثر. نعم، ليس معنى هذا بأن الإنسان إذا سكت يعني من الصباح إلى النهار أو من الصباح إلى الليل، لأن طول حياته إلى الموت يكون أفضل، لا، لأن هناك أحوال عندما يحتاج الإنسان أن يتحدث، أن يتكلم، أن يعني يجاهر، يعني نعم، بشيء. فهذا يقصد به الأحوال العادية. نعم، إذا كنت يعني على التواصل الاجتماعي وتتحدث مع أحد، فإن في بعض الأشياء لا تكتبها، نعم، لا تقولها، لأن هذا خيبة هذا وندامة هذا سترجع إليك. طيب، خلاص. جزاكم الله خير. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I hope you guys benefit from this. If there's any question that you guys may have, please put them in the comments below. And also thank you very much to all my patrons. Patrons are basically those of you beautiful people who support my channel on a monthly basis, make all of this happen. If any of you guys want to become patrons, support my channel, help me make these videos, and also gain at the same time Sadaqah Jari for everyone who watches them and benefits from them, then please consider becoming a patron. Details are in the description below. I will see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.